Greetings and welcome to the Supply Drop episode 55, a game podcast created by the Ted Danson, the Tom Selleck, and the Steve Guttenberg of video game podcasts. My name is Nate. I'll be your host. I'm joined by my other two co-hosts, the first of which is Scott.
Hello, everybody. I got that reference.
You got that reference? Fick, did you get that reference?
Actually, you probably need to share the reference, and I might get it.
3 Men and a
That's
Baby.
going to be on our Patreon. That'll be it for Patreon listeners.
Okay.
I just spoiled it. Sorry.
Scott, I have a question for you. How do you feel our Destiny 2 exploratory mission went?
I think it was a blast. I felt a little foolish playing Destiny 2 for so long and then having someone new come in and go, explain this game to me. And I start explaining it, and the more I explain it, the more I'm like, I am just a total dork. What have I done with my life? How many hours have I put into this game? I
thought you did well.
Okay, well, thanks. But it's the state that it's in right now is it's really hard to get into. I wouldn't.
Okay.
If you had done this like maybe last year, you probably would have had a better like opening, like an introduction.
Oh, really?
To it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The other voice that you heard is none other than Thick.
Yes.
Thick. What is the best? What is the best thing you ate this week?
I just cooked something right before. I can't say it's the best, but I wanted to mention it actually. Is was it the Impossible breakfast? Ground. It's like ground breakfast patty. Like you can make breakfast sausages with it.
Yeah.
It's the Impossible. It's like the
it's like the plant-based one.
The vegan. Yeah.
Yeah, I might have overcooked it. I don't know, because I was putting it basically in a pasta rather than just a standalone. But it tastes a little bland. I don't know. But we'll see. I still have a little bit more left. I was gonna eat all of it today.
Thick, how much experience do you have with the Impossible brand food?
I have stocks. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Like there's like the two companies, right? Like Impossible and Beyond, right? Do you guys have you guys tried both?
I've tried both. I don't prefer either one of them.
You don't like
Although I say when Burger King came out with the Impossible Whopper, I thought it was good until I found out it had like 30% more cholesterol than an actual meat patty.
Oh, really?
So I stopped eating it with my doctor's advice. But I think they nailed it with that. But like the ones that you get in the store do not taste like that. I mean, it's struggling. It's not getting there.
It's a very small. It's like I think it's reminiscent of the Xbox section in a Japanese store. It's like the Impossible section is just like that small section in the meat section.
Okay.
I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good analogy.
Not to get off on a tangent, but you know how there's weebs? There's like Americans who are like obsessed with Japanese culture. That's a weeb, right? Are there Japanese weebs for America?
So there are some pockets of society that kind of like some certain things. Like there's like a biker community within Japan.
Like a Harley bike?
Yeah, kind of something like that. I don't know
probably way cooler.
Yeah, they're like all the cool kids, right?
Yeah.
It's called the Yakuza, Thick.
Yeah, they all look like Akira.
Well, true.
Yeah.
But like, I think the grass is greener on the other side kind of thing for some people. Yeah.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah, but that whole like subculture gives me hope for humanity. When people are just in love with other people and other cultures, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Before we get started, I want to remind listeners they can drop us a comment, question, or insult at the Supply Drop YouTube channel.
Yes.
Especially
Scott.
Yes.
Yes, we prefer the insults. Yes.
Yeah.
Scott, tell us how your week went.
My week went pretty good. I got a new microphone, and I'm not really liking it. I think it may go back. And I played a game. This is a game that, when you see a game and it's like, oh, when that comes out, I'm totally playing that. And then you completely forget about it. And then you find it on, the store. And it's like, I think that's that game I saw like a year ago or two, and I wanted to play it. So I've been playing a game called Cloudpunk. And I saw this at E3 several years ago before it came out. And it's basically like a voxel-based Blade Runner delivery service game. But you do play a character and you do make these deliveries. And with each delivery, you get like these interesting characters to interact with. But then it also like lays in an underlying plot about the city and other things. And so as you drop these things off and explore the city, this story kind of unfolds. And I'm really digging it. Before on the show I've talked about, I get kind of weary of games that are like, hey, this is what you're doing, okay, and then 5 minutes later, well, this is also what you're doing, and this is also what you're doing, and let's add this and add this. So that thing that you really liked doing is like, now it's a job. Now I feel like I'm working for this game. It's a part-time job. This doesn't do that. It really emphasizes on just the deliveries that you're doing, the characters that you're interacting with, and honestly, you can just drive around the city, in your hover car like in Blade Runner, and it's raining, of course, and it's just really cool.
Is this a 3-dimensional game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Actually, your car, your hovercraft, or your hover is what it's called, is it has a third-person view or a first-person view, and I prefer the first-person view. Yeah, so because you can look around in your vehicle, and you have windows in the floor, obviously, so you can land, and then the water is like beating up on your window, and very 80s synthesized music, and it's just like a really cool vibe. There's Baldur's Gate is out, Diablo 4 is out, Remnant 2 I've got. And I'm playing a game that came out last year that's about making deliveries. So I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm really enjoying it.
Nice. Yeah, was that it for you this week?
Oh, I did get to play Hawked. This is a game that we talked about previously.
Oh, yeah.
And it is... okay, my opinion, it's kind of terrible. So it almost just feels like a phone game. It's very, you can see that it's targeted toward probably the 7-year-old to 20-year-old market. You go in and you make your character, and there's only really like a handful of options. And then it gives you kind of a synopsis on how to play. And then, so I immediately got into a match, and you have, it's a three-player match. You go in, and it's this semi-open world, and you go to these treasure points, which are like on the map. There's no like finding these things. You just go to it. There's some booby traps. You grab the treasure. There's some enemies. You shoot them. You use a grappling hook to find your point of entry as far as like the only place you can use it. So you're jumping through there. So I followed these two players that obviously had been playing this a lot longer than I have, and took down a couple of teams, and then got, I think, like 3 of the jewels or whatever that you're supposed to get. And apparently I got killed, but apparently when you extract with these things, they become, items that you can use in the game or cosmetics or things like that. So it's kind of like the old Destiny 2 or Destiny where you got an engram and you didn't know what it was until you turned it in. I played that one match, and then when I went to play another one, it kept bumping me out, and then I realized I really didn't want to play it anymore anyway. So, but it looks very much like Fortnite, like unapologetically like Fortnite. So there wasn't really anything that grabbed me visually there, and the controls are a little wonky. They're not great. But it's just that really quick, go here, do that, kind of thing. The booby traps, and there's some puzzles also that you can do to get
How
to
difficult
traverse.
are the puzzles? I assume it's
They're
pretty...
super simple. They're just basically like you've got a wheel and there's things behind the wheel and there's holes in the wheel. Okay, so when the wheel turns, you shoot. When you get an opening and you just do like 1, 2, 3, and then it opens a door, and it's basically just things to slow you down as enemies come in from behind you.
Yeah, monkey see, monkey do.
Right. It's nothing like, oh my God, we got to figure out how to do that. No, it's just like, can somebody please, shoot that door so we can go forward. And then the booby traps are the first time you play are like, oh, that's a booby trap. I just got caught or I just got damage. But it's very obvious. It's like this big thing on the floor.
Twice.
Right. Yeah. When you see them, you know that they're there. I don't think there's anything that's going to be a surprise when you play it again. So, not a good experience.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Scott, you also did play another game, a little bit, Marauders, right?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, there was Marauders was free to play this weekend. Thanks, Zach. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. I played a single match and then a match with others, and I like the concept. So you start on your ship, and it really looks like a World War II submarine, and you gear up, and then you go to the cockpit and you actually fly your ship to another ship, and dock inside that ship, and then you go out of your ship. I'm saying ship a lot. And then take out enemies, find loot, and then get back to your ship, then leave, and then go to an extraction point in this like asteroid field and extract your loot. It's a great concept, but for me, it was the ships all look very, very similar. The enemies look very, very similar. Even the other players look like the enemies.
I think that's by design.
Probably by design, but everything just looks like German World War II Nazi, like the aesthetics, the guns, the armor, everything. But yet you're in a spaceship flying in an asteroid field. I just don't think that those two really work together. The ships are very dark, and there's not really a lot of things that show you. There's nothing like leading you through the areas that everything looks like a rusted metal wall. You know what I mean? Okay. Yeah, there's not like the cockpit looks just like the latrine. It's the same thing other than just having like this device that you drive with. So, aesthetically, it's just got some. It just looks confusing, but the premise of it is really interesting. I mean, you're basically like a space pirate.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not get a chance to play it yet. I'm probably going to play it a little bit afterwards, like today.
Well, I will tell you, it was free this weekend. It is $20, but it was hard finding a game. And when I went to, if you even do a search for a game, I only came up with like 6 games, and they were all passworded. They're all private games.
Oh,
yeah. So there doesn't look to be, especially for a free weekend, that kind of gives a representation of the player base, and it doesn't seem to be very big. I should have checked Steam charts to see what it actually was, but it didn't look like a whole lot. So be warned.
That game's in full release, right? It's already out.
I think it's early.
Yeah, it's still in early access.
Okay, all right. So maybe there's some hope there.
Yeah, I mean, there's things you can do to it, especially with player feedback. But since the player base is so low, you never know if they might just pull the plug on it. Who knows?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's a box price, but then it's kind of limiting the amount of players that will play. And even on a free weekend, it's not getting much hits, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's what the free weekend was for, and it may not have gone over very well. Who knows?
Well, that sounds like an okay week for you, Scott.
Yeah.
Obviously, the highlight of
Well, I played some Baldur's Gate 3, obviously, and stuff like that. But those were my highlights.
Okay, all right. Now, obviously, the highlight was probably playing with me and Thick because
we did play some Destiny. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Haven't done that in a while. I've been doing. If I played Destiny 2 at all, it's solo. I soloed all of Lightfall. So yeah.
Wow, we should have been there for you.
We should join in. We should buy Lightfall.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to play that again.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
Thick, how was your week? How was
It's
your
not
week?
too bad, not too bad. For the most part, like the first half, I barely played any games, just working whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I would get in a few matches, and I got in a few matches on Halo Master Chief Collection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so it's been a while since I played, and like it's hard to get accustomed to like that style of play compared to like Infinite.
Yeah.
Um, but like it's good, it's fun. Like when you're playing, there's one thing I really miss from the newer games. It is the feeling when you know when someone dies. I know it's not like the biggest thing, but like when you kill someone in Halo 3 or 2,
Mm-hmm.
you just get this little pop up in the menu. You don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you notice it a lot more because modern games will like just flash and tell you killed this person, right?
Yeah, you'll get
But
like an audible response or some
yeah,
kind of like reticle,
hit
like
marker,
flash.
yeah,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I did miss that. I would say the it's fun to play, but the one thing that I always hated about Bungie games was the spawn system. Like
Mm-hmm.
I play
Mm-hmm.
big team battle, and like there's a lot of times where you just spawn right in from someone's line of sight, and you just get like
Destroyed.
destroyed. Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
like it's not fun. It's
Yeah.
pretty infuriating. It's probably Halo is probably one of the only games. Actually, anything that Bungie makes. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Anything that Bungie makes, I get pretty frustrated when it comes to PvP sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Halo's very fun, but it's not without its, problems.
frustrations, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same with the Destiny 2 when we were playing.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing PvP with Nate, and it was the
Yeah.
first time he's heard me curse more in that
Oh yeah, it
than
was interesting.
yeah, than
Yeah.
more of like this whole podcast combined. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
I rarely curse in the podcast.
Many SH words and even one F word.
Wow.
Yeah.
What I think there was
That
more than one F word.
there might have been one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's probably what they should just change the Crucible to is just the F word.
Yeah.
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 Well,
The one big thing I did play um, was Overwatch PvE. So I actually went ahead and bought it. I wasn't
Ooh,
sure if I wanted to
shame on
go
you.
buy it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like
I'm just kidding.
everyone's like, yeah, it releases on Steam, and like it's got right now it's got 100,000 overwhelmingly negative reviews, about 9% positive, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
mean, that's a combination of a lot of things from what some people have mentioned, like with like the recent Chinese Blizzard and what's the relations, like there's a lot of Chinese players that have taken that as a platform to complain about Blizzard, like
Like in
uh,
general. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
and some of it's definitely Overwatch fans. You know me, I don't really complain, but I want to I do want to talk about the PvE. Aside from it being actually that's one of the cons, right? Actually, I'll just go through the cons real quick. I mean, basically, cons is it's a $15 price for like a split piece of DLC. It lacks replayability for that $15. However, for the pros, I would say that I do like that it pushes the Overwatch story forward. Like all this stuff is kind of there's like existing. So do you guys have an idea like the general story to Overwatch? It's kind of like there was this AI crisis, like robots overtake the world.
Mm-hmm.
Overwatch resolves it. Then the robots and humans are living together.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, there's another uprising because of you could kind of have it symbolic to like real life. It's like discrimination against the robots because of the war in the past, right? Like the
Right.
robots were coexisting. So basically, yeah, Overwatch is back, and then there's a villain that kind of harnesses that hate. So that's the general story. It's not a bad story. It's very simplistic in some parts. There's some really good cutscenes, some really good set pieces within the campaign. There's only 3 campaigns. The first one was like maybe like 15 minutes. It really felt short,
Mm-hmm.
but it did have a boss mechanic. Nothing really like in other games. It's existed, but it's somewhat new to Overwatch, so there's a little bit of novelty factor to that. So it's nice to see like this kind of boss creature. The second one was more of like you protect your hostage or whatever, or you protect that point. It's not very it's kind of standard, but it was a lot longer. There was a lot of cool dialogue or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the third one was probably the most unique. It's where they introduced like turrets, like everyone can kind of move around, and almost felt like tower defense a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
that's interesting.
yeah. So, well, the first part of it is like it's very cinematic. There's like these huge cannons. You're talking to the guy that has the turret. He basically take you gotta carry like three cores to three different huge turrets, and then this huge robot lands in the ocean, and you gotta take it down. It's pretty cool. It's pretty. I think that's like the best mission. The real problem is it's a little bit too short. Um,
Yeah.
Not worth 15. Having giving you coins because I play multiplayer anyways.
Yeah.
With the 15 kind of helps a little bit, but for most people, I don't think it's worth it for them. But I think if you really are wanting like some of that story element, you could either watch it on YouTube, or just
Mm-hmm.
watch a streamer.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you play any character through this? Like, can you pick your character, or is it
So it's based on each mission. Like, there's a certain set of characters you can play because
okay? But you can't pick
it,
a character. You just can't
you
pick
can pick a
any.
character. I think
Right.
the last one, there's just four characters. So whoever picks
Okay.
who, last pick or whatever. But it's part of how that story plays because it's four characters kind of talking.
Okay.
Um, Now, when you choose specific characters in the early ones where you had more variety, the thing with Overwatch is, you had a little different dialogue in between the characters. So that's always nice to see.
Okay. So
Um,
is this part of like uh what we were going to get with a full campaign, or is this just something they put together?
I'm pretty sure, like from what I mentioned, the first mission is probably something they showed off at 2019.
Okay.
So the the thing, remember, like the couple months back, the
Mm-hmm.
thing they really said that what they were taking away was this uh skill progression system, kind of like a skill tree for each character,
Yeah.
where you can kind of grind it and then like you get new abilities or whatever. They took that aspect out, um, probably because it just wasn't working out. I mean, I definitely see love within these, and this could be based on, um, the older developers. Maybe they're gone now. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Because the next
Mm-hmm.
like PVE sort of missions will be coming like probably next year. So it's a long time. I don't know how those are going to turn out. So
Yeah, I got you.
yeah, but
And
I mean, yeah, that's really it. They made some updates, have a new character, it's a new healer. I'm not going to go too much into that, but I do like one thing that really stood out to me is the kind of stat-based progression. Basically, you get like little medals for everything you do in the game, and you can kind of have it show up as basically your player card in a way.
yeah.
So like, you heal a lot, you play a lot of that character. They know you play that character a lot. They know you're very good at healing with that character, or you've healed a lot. So like it's kind of cool. I like it. It's very comprehensive compared to a lot of things. It's basically taking like your whole stat sheet and making it into a leveling system.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think I have a question for you. Is Reaper a bad guy or is he a good guy?
I believe he was a bad guy.
So there are bad people in Overwatch.
Yeah, yeah, in the actual game. Like
Yeah.
the thing was the villain, I think the main villain of the story was
Mm-hmm.
released like in the game like probably 2, 3 seasons ago. And
Okay.
it kind of seems like they wanted PvE ready by then, but they just couldn't do
Couldn't.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um
Okay.
so
Are
yeah,
they Bungie?
yeah, they could be. I mean, they've gone through turmoil within their company,
Oh
so I
yeah.
mean, who knows where it's gonna go? But I mean, I'm still fine with Overwatch 2. I know a lot of people aren't, which is fine too.
Mm-hmm. I know me personally, whenever I see the internet is like mad about something, I always side with the whoever the internet is mad at. So
Yeah,
I have an inclination to be like, oh, I want to go download this Overwatch 2 just to spite people.
just
We
despite
know
them.
spite is a powerful tool,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so. But it sounds like you're enjoying it. It sounds like Scott will not be jumping in anytime soon.
No, probably
Probably
not.
not. No,
Yeah, yeah,
no. I gave it a shot. It's just
yeah.
not my bag.
No, I gotcha. I gotcha. All right, let me jump into my week real quick. I was gonna talk about Death Stranding after last week's podcast, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna throw you a curveball, okay, guys?
Okay.
This week I'm on the tweets, the X. I'm sorry, I'm on X, and there's like a viral tweet going around. Tell me if I told you guys about this, but a viral tweet going around about Baldur's Gate 3. The tweet is, the tweet is. There is apparently you can play fetch with your dog, right? So you click your little menus.
Yeah.
You click over there, and then the dog does this little animation, and everyone's like, "Wow, Baldur's Gate 3 is so amazing" because they even put fetch in it. That irks me because I didn't like what I saw out of that, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But during the week, obviously there's that cloud of vapor that's over everyone's heads, like the honeymoon period, right? Like it's getting rave reviews. I think it currently has a 97 on Metacritic. Mm-hmm. Scott, you're raving about it. You're still playing it.
Yeah.
But then I found someone on the internet discourse said that Larian Studios' last game, which is Divinity Original Sin 2,
Right.
has an 11.5% completion rate.
Yeah. I would believe that.
Now, Scott, no one on the internet, everyone's mad about, live service games on the internet. Mm-hmm. I am mad about these low completion rate games, right? Because these companies are selling these games for $70 now. Mm-hmm. You don't get to play them really before you buy them. Then it seems like, they're selling a 75-hour RPG, and really what happens to people is they play a 15-hour RPG or a 20-hour RPG, and then they get too bored and it goes in the backlog.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And then, I guess no one cares that, like, these backlogs are growing as a result of this crazy FOMO hype cycle that's happening with Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
So I guess I want to know both your guys' opinion on this. I know, Scott, you believe that obviously you like Baldur's Gate 3. This is your type of game. You're the RPG. Mm-hmm. But when I'm reading like critics on Metacritic, they're like, this game is great. This is game of the year quality game. Go out and buy this game. Everyone should play this game. And I'm just like, no, not everyone should play this game.
No,
I think
I don't. Yeah.
No.
I don't agree. So
No.
Yeah. But are either of you like? I'm not upset, but I'm just like, I think it's incredibly like toxic like model where the games media will hype up a game. Mm-hmm. A bunch of people buy it. Like Baldur's Gate 3 is like flying off the shelves, and I'm gonna bet in a year from now, we're gonna be able to look at the completion rate of Baldur's Gate 3. Mm-hmm. It's probably gonna be less than 11.5%.
Yeah, it is a giant game. But here's the thing. It is it's a CRPG. It's a computer RPG. Right. I mean, it doesn't pretend to be anything else. They didn't make it to be anything else. Although that it is going to be on console, you have to understand that it is a click to go here, turn-based, Dungeons and Dragons style game. It's just a very, very detailed representation of that, and a very high quality one at that as well. And it's like also like a 200 plus hour game, which I honestly I may not finish. I don't know if I have time to put in that one game, but I see the things that you're seeing, and I see a lot of people putting it on a pedestal as like this is game of the year. You have to play it. This and this.
Right.
Right now, it's only available on PC. This is where this game will flourish, is on PC. Mm-hmm. The people that play these type of games typically are on PC. When this goes to console, it'll do well. I mean, PlayStation 5 players are already, saying it's an exclusive for them, but it's
being
not.
used in the console war.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Starfield killer.
Right, right. Even though they probably won't even play it. But it's it's going to do well on that. It's going to do well on Xbox, but it's a PC game first, and we don't really get that much anymore. It's usually either just completely multiplat, or it goes it's on console, then it goes to PC, or it's available on everything at one time. Yeah, I'm sure, much like Divinity 2, this is going to play very well on console, but yeah, it's not for everybody. I'm just going to say it.
Right.
You know.
Thick. Is there a point when completion rate should be used as a barometer for a game's quality?
Usually, it does not matter to me because I
It
think
doesn't matter to you.
I feel like this game is too meaty, so a lot of people just won't
Hmm.
get through it. At least, I guess. Well, I see what your point with Divinity, considering how long it's been. But I think a lot of people just play these like CRPGs very casually. Like I don't feel like most people go and complete the story all the way because like you can get
Right.
sidetracked a fair
Yeah.
amount.
Yeah.
That's the
I
same with
just
Elder Scroll, isn't it? Like, is there a completion rate for that?
I'm sure there is. I don't know off the top of my head, but
Yeah,
Well, like the main
I would.
quest in Skyrim, you can complete in like maybe 20 hours,
yeah.
That
maybe
seems more
less.
manageable. Yeah.
Right.
But I think you could do the same or similar in Baldur's Gate, right?
I don't think so. I don't know if they've given a time for the actual main
I,
quest, but
I think
I
there's a time to
I
beat for it already.
I so I looked online. It sounds like one of the developers at the studio said that the main story would take 75 to 100 hours to complete.
yeah,
I don't know. I looked on howlongtobeat.com. It did say main quest. It was around 30 hours, but then I'm looking up the beta numbers for they released Baldur's Gate 3 in the first chunk of it. Apparently, the
yeah, the
first
first
chunk of it was
chapter.
like a 30-hour
Yeah,
experience,
yeah.
right?
It
So it
was just the
sounds like
first
How Long to
chapter.
Beat, right? The first chapter might be 30 hours. I skewed the data a little bit.
Mm.
Let me
Yeah, I'm
let me
getting
throw.
mixed.
Oh, go
Like
ahead,
I
Thick.
guess, yeah, I'm getting mixed kind of like results on this because some people say yeah, the 75 100
Yeah.
hour, but then I
Right.
do get some people mention the casual playthrough is 23 hours.
I just to interrupt for just a second. I think we're getting your feed through your headset and not your microphone. Is that possible?
That's what I think. That's what I heard earlier.
But
Mm,
yeah, check that out. It
I
sounds like
I
you're
don't
kind of
think so.
okay, maybe not. It just sounds different. But I see what you're saying though, Nate. It's like it's almost like should it have a warning on the box? It's like whoa, dude. It's like
Uh-huh.
this is a 100-hour game. You sure you want to get this? You know,
Right.
but I don't know. I guess it's how much emphasis do you put on completion? You know, how much if you complete a game, do you feel like that's the only way you got your money's worth? Or is it
Well, let me
that I completely enjoyed the 40 hours I put into it, but I didn't finish it, you know?
let me throw this by.
Uh-oh. I think we
Uh,
lost Nate.
Hello,
seems
hello.
like it.
Hello. I think we lost you for a second.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
I sound good? All right. Let me throw this by you, okay? I played Divinity Original Sin 2 a couple of times and I basically put 10 to 15 hours in it both times. And I know the first handful of hours of that I enjoyed it because everything's new and you're kind of like trying to figure it out. Then it seems like there's a downward sloping feel that like my last few hours with Divinity Original Sin before I say okay I'm too bored of it or I'm not engaged with it enough, they're not great hours for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I know I hear your point like, well, what if you just spend 40 hours with a game, then you get too bored with it? What if those are great hours? And I'm like, I think when people become bored of a game, there's a percentage of those hours that are kind of like, I should play it because I bought it. I got this far. I should trudge through the rest a little bit. Like, I don't think anyone ends a game without finishing it on a high note.
Yeah.
Unless like something catastrophic happens in your life, right? Like if you get hit,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
at some point, I see what you're saying. It's more of like I'm not having fun with this. I think I want to
Right.
quit. Right.
Right. And then I think like, Larian takes gamers $70 up front, and then they're like, thanks for your $70. Do with the Baldur's Gate 3 however you feel like it. We don't really care if you spent 2 hours on it. We don't care if you beat it 10 times,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because we have your money. And I'm just like, I just feel like that's a little bit. There's something a little I don't like about that.
Is
And-
it that?
and
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I feel like this is coming from you because you guys know I'm a multiplayer gamer. I love live service. The only games I spend money on in live service are games I'm like, oh, I really like this game. I'm gonna spend more time in it, right?
Right.
So people criticize live service a lot, but I'm like, they show you the meal. They say eat the meal. Give us whatever you think it's worth. If you want a little extra, throw us $5 here, throw us $10 here. Whereas I feel like this is like, no, give us your money, then you can kind of experience the product, right?
Well, that's the way gaming has been since its inception, right?
Right. But I feel like just because something always was doesn't mean like we shouldn't be like turning our heads on, being like, nah, it's
So,
actually not pro-consumer.
so would it be better to say charge, I don't know, $40 for the first chapter, and then if you want to complete the game,
15.
then you pay for each chapter?
I I
Maybe.
think 100%. If this was a 7 chapter game, each chapter was $10, it
Yeah.
would be way more consumer friendly. However, the reason Larian isn't doing this is they know people are only going to buy 1 or 2 chapters. 90% of the people are going to bounce out before they spend their $70. A lot of people won't be spending $70 on that, right?
Yeah. I don't think it's nefarious though. I mean, I don't think they're doing that to go, let's make this game so big that nobody finishes it. I mean, I don't think anybody really says that's like, let's, spend all of this time and money to put all of this in this
Yeah.
game so that most people don't enjoy it. I mean, other than From Software, I don't think that that's what their intention is. I think they make their intention is to make the best RPG that they can make. Thus, it becomes a larger, bigger game. I don't think it's, I don't think they're looking at it as like, oh, they're never going to finish this, but we're going to get their money. I can see that in more of a, hey, this is only a 5-hour game. We're charging $70 for it, but if you want more of it, oh, we're still working on it. So we can add stuff later, but still charge you for that. That to me is obviously, scummy. But
Yeah.
I think it should be. I mean, maybe there should be something on. And maybe there is on the. I don't know if there's a retail version of this. Maybe on the actual box, it's. I mean, it's on PC right now. When it goes to console, it will have a retail copy. But maybe it says like 100+ hours of gameplay or something of that
Right.
nature, just to let somebody know that you're getting a lot for your money, but
Right.
you're getting a lot for your money. Personally, I can't even believe I put 120 something hours into Assassin's Creed Valhalla and it didn't
Yeah.
have an ending. You have to pay for that ending. You know how crappy
Really?
that is? Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't get the ending to the game. It just goes, okay, cool, you're just hang out till we finish this thing. Like you don't get to finish. There's no completion there unless you pay for like the $15 DLC that came out a year later or whatever. And then and at that point, I wasn't going back to that game. That to me is just a punch in the face. It's like, oh, we got your $70. You played through this entire game, and you didn't get an ending. You have to pay for the ending at the end. I would much rather just go, here's the entire package. You paid $70 for it, but I didn't. It's 60. But here's everything that we've got, and people are already asking for DLC. I'm like, you did not finish that game. There's no way that you already finished that game and you're like, I want more. No, I've already gotten to points where I'm like, I got so far off where I was supposed to be, I had to backtrack and load back in. Like I lost 5 hours because I was like, oh my god, this is way bigger than I thought it was going to be. I can't do this right now. I'm going to have to go back to where I was in the fork of the road and went, okay, am I going right or left? I was supposed to go left, but I was like, hey, what's over here? So. I mean, that's what you're getting with that. And I think that's value. I think that's, if you want to get more out of that game, it's there available for you. You paid for it. It's just waiting for you.
Yeah.
So let me give you an example of another game that does the whole piecemeal thing, and it's and you could argue on this. It's the Final Fantasy VII remake, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be 3 parts. It's not the complete story right now.
Right.
But I mean, it's high production value, and I guess that's what you're paying for.
I feel like with that game, you are paying full price for a 30-ish hour game, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that game pretty long? It's like 25, 30 hours.
It's shorter than the original. It's a part of the story. It's a remix of
Right.
the story. But yeah.
Right. I guess I was like, you remember when, 10 years ago, who was the company that was doing the Walking Dead games, the Telltale?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Remember they were like, we're gonna do the this model where it's
Yeah,
like
episodic. Yeah.
episodic, and that model slid into the dirt, and my brain is like, oh, I know why it slid into the dirt, because people bought the first one for a reduced price, and then they're like, I'm not really interested in continuing this, so I'm not gonna buy the next ones.
Yeah.
So to me, I feel like that model is the most consumer friendly, but it's not the most developer and publisher friendly.
No.
Like developers, publishers, they want that $70. We just spent 6 years making this. Give us all your money.
Yeah.
It's like a bank robbery. Give us all your money.
More or
Something
less.
like that.
Dude,
Anyway,
give me some of your money right now. I'll come back later and get the rest of it. No.
yeah.
Yeah.
Only if you want to, though. Only if you want to for the,
Right.
Yeah. Guys, we gotta move on.
Yeah,
we gotta
let's
move on.
go.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
is a deeper discussion
we have,
than
we
thought.
have our technical difficulties fixed yet? Like, my mic sounds okay?
You sound better. You sound better now.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, I think it was coming loose, and that's why it probably started to sound weird.
Okay.
There you go. Welcome back,
Luke's
Fix.
mic.
Welcome back. Before we kick things off, let's go to our listener feedback segment. Here's where listeners of the Supply Drop participate in the discussion by going to the Supply Drop Podcast YouTube channel and dropping
Very
a question,
much
comment.
so.
What?
Oh, nothing.
Nothing.
I'm looking. I'm checking. Yeah,
You're
it might
checking.
be nothing as well. So
Okay.
Well, we don't want to check, before the show, because you never know if we might get
never know,
20
late-
comments as we're recording, and
All right. Right.
yeah,
Yeah. So nothing this week.
looks like nothing this week.
All right. This week's listener feedback segment was brought to you by Bobson Dugnet. Bobson Dugnet, we will continue to do your bidding as long as you keep sponsoring the show. Thank you, Bobson Dugnet.
Thank you, Bobson.
yep, thanks.
Yes. All right, let's get to the drop, the segment of our podcast where we talk about last week's most interesting news story. Scott, what interested you most this week?
Red Dead Redemption is coming to PlayStation 4 and Switch for $50.
Exciting.
Not really.
Did you skip out the Xbox? Xbox version is coming,
It
right?
exists.
No,
It
it's already
exists
there.
already.
It's in backwards
And it's-
compatibility.
It's in 4K.
Well, I'm
Oh,
getting
really?
to that. Yeah. So the new version that comes out, I think it's already out. Didn't it come out yesterday, the 12th? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only piece of this I didn't get is the actual date it's coming out. But it's $50. There's no changes to it whatsoever. There's no upgrades. There's no anything. The multiplayer is not included at all. There's not a release for Xbox, like Thick said, because it plays in 4K 60 frames per second and backwards compatibility for the Xbox Series X and S. So, nobody's really happy about this. We've got a rumor. I think, Nate, did you have a rumor about Red Dead Redemption being rated in Korea a couple of weeks ago?
Not this week, no.
But there was a rumor. So everybody
Oh,
thought
maybe
that there might
a few
be,
weeks ago.
Yeah, there was going to be a remaster or an update or something. Everybody got really excited. But this is what we got, and it's a $50 title. So IGN of all people asked Strauss Zelnick why they priced the newly announced port the way they did, especially given the backwards compatibility situation for Xbox. And Zelnick responded with, "That's just what we believe is the commercially accurate price for it." So Rockstar's not really... They need to work on their PR. This is really odd. And of course, previously it wasn't available on PlayStation 4 because there's no real backwards compatibility. And then, of course, it wasn't available on the Switch. This is a fantastic game and deserves some type of remaster or remake, in my opinion. But I don't know. What do you guys think about this? I think it's crap.
I think it's typical, Rockstar to do this. So I'm not surprised.
No, I'm not surprised either. It just seems to be. It just doesn't seem to be fair.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, you can get the Xbox version. You can get the $20 disc with like both expansion.
Oh, you can get a used copy for $10.
Yeah,
It comes with Undead and multiplayer and everything.
It's sold for like $5 too, hasn't it?
Yeah,
like
on the store.
digital store.
Yeah, and it's 4K 60 frames per second. And if you're on PS4 or Switch, I don't know what the situation is on the PS5. Is it backwards compatibility on the PS5? If it is, it's probably not 4K and 60. It's probably 720 and 30. So this is just an odd thing to do, especially after their ill-fated 3-pack
trilogy, right?
Yeah, the trilogy that was just terrible looking.
Hopefully this runs okay though, but I mean, eventually it'll go down in price probably for some people, right?
Yeah, I mean,
they'll pick it up.
Yeah, it'll probably perform well on those on the Switch and the PlayStation 4, but the $50 price tag I just don't know if people are going to really buy into that, and it really doesn't paint a promising picture for Grand Theft Auto 6 being the caliber of 5 was when it came out. I don't know. It just seems like maybe they just don't seem to be in the same place they were, 10 years ago.
Much like I blame it on Grand Theft Auto Online, probably. I feel like
the popularity of it, it's just greedy. I mean, they're just plain greedy. I mean, Zelnick. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just pretty much says that. We believe that's the commercially accurate price for it. Meaning, they want
people will pay for it. Yeah,
right. So I wish I had brought something a little more promising and positive, but these things have to be, brought to the table for discussion. And the fact that IGN lately, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but they've kind of been fighting back with things like this. I mean, they're the only ones that I'm aware of that I could find out that got a response from Zelnick at all. So, I know IGN's not my favorite, but if they, give these companies a little,
heat,
a little crap, maybe, maybe they'll get the picture, because they don't listen to their customers. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question and tell me if this is a valid response to this story? Okay.
Okay.
I think right now, I don't know too much about cars, but it sounds like Nissan the past couple of years, they're not doing great in terms of quality of vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the Nissan Murano is, like a big SUV that they make.
Yeah.
Not that SUV. I think it's they sell it for probably $33,000.
Yeah.
My brain goes like, good luck, Nissan. Like, good luck competing in the market, right?
Right.
So I don't get mad at Nissan. I'm like, this is what they think the Nissan. I think maybe a Toyota or a Honda or some other high quality SUV is probably going to do better at that price. So I don't really get mad at Rockstar for putting out this new game. I'm just like, man, good luck competing against the rest of the market at that price.
Is the Murano, you consider Murano expensive, or is it on the cheaper side?
I don't really know that much about SUVs, but I feel like SUVs in general are a little higher priced than like a compact car, right?
Yeah, it's
Could be,
I'll tell you right now that the car market, there's about 30,000 is probably the low end of what you'll find for most cars
of a new
now.
SUV, right?
Yeah. Or no, for everything.
Most cars, yeah.
Oh, most cars? Like a Honda Civic? How much is a Honda Civic?
Oh, God, like 40 grand.
No, are you serious?
I think you can still find those for around 20 to 30.
Yeah, like the base model, but, who wants that?
But a lot of, you're not going to find any cars in the 15,000 range anymore, right? Or where you used to.
No.
So you're saying they're pricing those cars at a commercially accurate price. Is that what you're saying?
Wait, what do you mean?
So, okay, I think you're saying the SUV is at a very high price, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, like the Nissan is, because right now it seems like
I guess I know Nissans compete against a lot of they compete against the Toyota, the Ford, the Honda, the BMW SUVs. They all compete against each other, and I think from what I gathered, the last 5 years, Nissan has been on a low end in terms of their quality. They get poor reviews in like Car and Driver magazine. Their dependability ratings are pretty low. And I'm just like, good luck, Nissan. Do your best at that price. Right? Like Nissan, if they chopped off 10K from their SUVs, I'd be like, okay, that might be a quality vehicle at that price.
Right.
But I don't get mad. I don't get mad at Nissan for trying to be like, sell your SUV at the same price as a Toyota Highlander or one of those SUVs that are
I don't
better.
think it's the price so much that people are mad at. I think it's the fact that you're not getting the full game, and they did nothing, to update this 10-plus-year-old game. They just released it on platforms that were not readily, that didn't have it previously. And
let's not forget they're not releasing on PC.
Right.
They're not?
Yeah, it's still not on PC.
So that kind of makes some people mad, right? Right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's on Switch. It's not on PC. Well,
right.
Yeah, I mean, why not
That's
make
weird.
I mean, it seems like it would be easier to make a PC port.
Right.
I don't know. It's just questionable. If and you're using cars as an analogy, if Nissan released a car that was luxurious, right? Had leather seats, had all this stuff, but had like a 4-cylinder engine that
Could barely
go to 75 miles an hour, you'd be like, what are you doing? Like, who is even going to buy that? That's kind of what you're looking at this. It's like you guys are so out of touch with what your market is. That's what's so frustrating. It's not so much as like, did anybody really want this? There's probably a few people that really wanted, a remaster, an upgrade, or even just, the ability to play it on PC. That comes with gaming. You're not going to get everything on every platform, so you just kind of have to go with it. But for them to just release this in such a bizarre state and price,
it is.
It's not so much. I don't think anybody's mad at that particular situation. They're just mad at Take-Two for going, what are you doing? Like, why are you not even, if you just give us what we want, we will give you money. It's so simple. There's a 4-year-old, if you told it's like, hey kid, you've got that Pokemon card, I've got a cookie, give me that cookie and I'll give you the let's trade, done. And everybody's happy. It's that simple. It is absolutely that simple, and they just don't get it. And that's what's so frustrating, especially when they're about to release what is going to be 2024's mega blockbuster game, if it does come out next year, Grand Theft Auto 6, and this is how out of touch they are with the gaming market in general. It's just, I can't imagine what this is going to, I mean, it's just going to be, it seems to me like it has the potential to be a complete catastrophe.
Let me throw one more thing at you. Every once in a while when there's a PlayStation sale, I will go through the sale. They'll have like a under $10 sale, and then you can sort the sale by best-selling titles, right? So they'll rank the titles and best-selling titles. There are titles up at the top of that list that you've never heard of. They're just like, what is that doing at number 3 on this list? Yeah. Right? So my brain goes like, maybe there's actually a lot of consumers, a lot of gamers out there that have no idea, like they don't listen to the Supply Drop podcast, right? Where you get informed.
Well, they should. Yeah.
But I think what a lot of people are doing is like, I'm just going to go to the sale. This is 50. Is it $40? It's $40.
It's 50.
It's $50. That's crazy to us, but I feel like, what if they're just like, actually 90% of the market has no idea that this is crazy and they're going to buy the game?
I get that. I mean, I agree with you that to some extent, but I also think that it's like, if you looked at this game and then saw that it came out in, 2008?
I think.
Yeah. Right. And it's $50, you'd be like, no, I'll pass. I mean, there are people that are going to buy it. Oh, I've heard of this game, I'm just going to get it. Of course there are. I mean, that's anything. There's people that are going to walk on a Nissan lot and go, I bet, that car is pretty, let me buy it. And then, it goes 60 miles an hour and, 2 miles per gallon or whatever. But
guilty.
Right. So, that's going to happen, but it doesn't make it doesn't make it right. And even if that's what, if you're saying that they know that they are so in touch with their market that they know people will buy that for 50, then I don't know what's worse. If they're so far ahead that we just don't see it, or if they, I typically think it's more they don't understand the market. Because I just watched this documentary on Blizzard earlier today. It was just some interviews with some people that had left, and they pretty much laid it in as like when microtransactions and loot boxes and the publishers found that they can make money, doing A, B, and C, then the talent was their days were numbered. It wasn't about talent. It wasn't about making the great game. It was about the money, how you can monetize the game. And that's why, at Blizzard, so many people started leaving because they didn't make games anymore. They made slot machines. Mm-hmm. So, and he said the publishers started making the decisions, not the developers. Mm-hmm. There you go. We're seeing it right. That's no developer said, hey, we should do a Red Dead Redemption for PlayStation 4 and Switch and do nothing extra to it and take out the multiplayer. We should do that. That sounds like a great thing. No developer said that. That's all the publisher deal, and that's all based on, their numbers that they look at.
I would say, Sony's Left of Us did do the same thing with multiplayer, right? I think.
Yeah, they released it $70 with no multiplayer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I almost kind of get why it is commercially probably what people will pay for if they really wanted it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're going to make money on it.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's like a psychological effect that all business minded people know. It's you price your product at a certain price, and then you put a little sale sticker on it. Like these are $200 shoes. Yeah. We're gonna sell them to you for $119. Isn't that a great deal for you?
Yeah. Anybody that's ever gone to a Kohl's knows that.
Yeah.
This shirt is $125, but it's on sale for $19.99 every day. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Anything else to add there, Thick?
I'd say Nintendo kind of does the same thing too, but people will buy it. The Pikmin 1 and 2.
Oh, right.
Like, it's not even like a remake, it's just a remaster, barely a remaster. Yeah. And it's $50 as well.
Yeah, but they took some marginal effort to do something to it.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything. They actually took something out, so... Yeah, I get it. Yeah, Nintendo does do that kind of stuff, but Nintendo's just a completely oddball market anyway. I mean, not even just for games. Yeah. It's just they could release probably anything and they would make just bucket loads of money on it.
Mm-hmm. I'd say probably Rockstar could probably do the same thing. I think
you might be right.
They don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't usually like Rockstar games anyways, but I could. They have the following.
Yeah.
All right, Thick, let's go over to you. What was your big news story this week, or stories?
Okay, so in recent news, because there's a documentary, video doc on Obsidian Entertainment. They released a 5-part doc.
Yeah.
And then the very last episode, they kind of revealed some juicy details about Avowed, and it was that Avowed was originally going to be a multiplayer game. But then they decided to take it out.
Yeah.
Let me see the quote here for you guys real quick. It's like the reason why they kind of pitched it was because it's more attractive to publishers, right? They were kind of around that time they were kind of struggling. They were looking for someone to buy.
Purchase.
And basically, basically you said when you're asking for 50 to 80 million, you've got to have something interesting to talk about, and multiplayer made it interesting.
Yeah.
But they basically backtracked on it. They did say that, within their 20-year career of, there's a lot of old veterans basically within the company.
Yeah.
They said that this is the decision they really felt was a good decision to do, to take it out, basically.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which I'm happy for too. We see things like 76 and Bethesda was doing the same thing. I think they pitched their multiplayer kind of as bias in a way, right? Or to make themselves more attractive.
Yeah, and that was probably around the same time because they were purchased right after
A little bit. It's I think 2 years later, wasn't it?
Yeah,
2 or 3 years later.
I think it was released. Yeah, when they were purchased. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact timeline, but yeah, you might be right. That's probably why. And that's kind of the same thing that's happening at Sony, where they're looking at like, hey, we don't have any multiplayer or anything. But the mistake that they might be making is getting their current studios to make multiplayer games, whereas just like Obsidian's like, we're not a multiplayer studio. Maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Let's make it single player. And that ultimately will probably be the right decision. Although playing Avowed with a buddy sounds amazing. Like I would really like that. But again, the better decision is probably to do what they're good at.
Yeah, it's kind of like the case of publisher versus developer, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a way.
Yeah.
Like the developer is making the decision because that's not their strong suit, which is I think the better decision, right?
Right.
Like we see this with Redfall too. Like that's kind of shoot in multiplayer, and that's really kind of
and that was the publisher going in and going, hey, we need a looter shooter. We need and this of course was before the purchase. They were like because when Xbox bought them, they were like, can you cancel this? Can you please cancel our game? But for some reason they didn't.
So one of my takeaways from that comment too is kind of that, like Obsidian is mostly a single player company, but it seems like they just have trouble with profits because they don't have multiplayer, and that's probably why they were looking into it, right?
Right.
What was Obsidian's big titles prior to purchase? Did they do Fallout New Vegas?
They did Fallout
New Vegas. Baldur's Gate, right? Well, actually, no. No. Officially, they didn't. That was Interplay, I think, or
that was Interplay. There were some people that worked at Interplay that did go to Obsidian. So that was like Interplay / Black Isle kind of turned into Obsidian.
Yeah, it was like around 2003, 2004. Actually, if you guys get a chance, make sure you just watch the whole document. It's very interesting.
I think
very
interesting.
A very good job.
Yeah.
Which is actually what I want to talk about. Yeah, go ahead.
No. I was going to say it is interesting, especially for a 20-year-old studio.
Yeah. So Nate, do you have anything specific to the Avowed topic before I want to talk more about the documentary?
Well, you guys know me. I'm a multiplayer gamer, and when I heard this, for some reason, my brain can't get around to the idea of having a co-op RPG. I'm just like, clearly me and my friend are going to be at different points in the story. How can that be fun if I go join my friend's game?
Have you ever played Fable 2?
No.
Okay. The way they handled it was if you had a friend playing Fable 2, you came in as a different character.
Okay.
And I think you could, if I remember, and it's maybe wrong because I haven't played this in God forever, but I think you could pick certain aspects like male or female and kind of, maybe some items or whatever. But you would just basically be in their game and kind of like just their companion. And you would just go through the game with them and do stuff. And it didn't affect your game. Like you didn't go back to your game and everything was done. It wasn't a true co-op experience. It was just that, hey, here's, I'm playing Fable. Come join me. Bam. And it actually worked really well because if you played co-op, you were playing the game with someone else, but it gave you kind of a different point of view. And especially, just playing a different character, you could go back and then to your game and play that game a little bit differently. You could be more evil or more good or, make different decisions and stuff. So I don't think it was super popular, but I played a good bit of the co-op when it was out, and I thought it was great. And if Avowed did something to that aspect of, hey, I'm playing Avowed, you want to join me, and then maybe that character, you create a character for that co-op game specifically. So when you join that game, you were that character. You were a ranger or a sorcerer or whatever, and then it just kept your status on in his game or her game, right?
Yeah.
And then you had your own game. So I always thought that would be. I always thought that that's probably what you could do in, say, a game like Skyrim. Yeah, where you're not playing your character from your Skyrim game. You're playing a character in that game with that other person.
Yeah.
But, nobody's really done it since Fable 2 that I know of. There may be a game out there like that.
It's funny, Scott. I totally hear what you're saying, and like I remember like playing co-op the first Halo. Playing co-op was such a blast for me.
Oh yeah.
I guess I understand like the idealized version of Redfall, like 4 players immersive sim. Like that kind of clicks, like how fun that would be. For some reason, me jumping into your Skyrim game or me jumping into your Avowed game, I don't know why it does not click. Like I don't want to. I feel like there's so much story though. Like I'm not interested in story. Scott, you might be interested in story. Am I just gonna sit there while you're like watching this 15-minute cutscene or a 10-minute cutscene?
Well, I think it depends on. Well, there's no cutscenes in Skyrim.
Okay. But there's some story. There's like you read, you're talking to
you do talk to people and things happen, but it's
hitting
never
the
taken
NPC.
you.
You
would be like
NPC.
right, but
I'm running around in the background.
Let's
go.
That's what happens in Remnant actually. Like Scott was talking to a guy and I was just rolling around in the background.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with Skyrim, you could totally like go into go to an inn and get an ale or a drink and sit at the bar, listen to the music, get warm. And then when they're done, it's like, oh, let's go. I mean, there's cool things you can do with it. I just don't know why. Well, actually, I don't know. I never figured out why there isn't a game like that. But Thick, I think you've hit it. It's that the studios that make those games don't make multiplayer games. So unless it's like an action RPG or an MMO,
right?
They just don't look at games that way. Like someone else coming in and just being, like in Skyrim, you can get a companion. You can go up to somebody and go, hey, come with me. And, what if you were the companion? You just make a character and you're like, hey, here I am. I'll just help you out. That would be amazing. I know there's a mod that works like that, but it's I don't know how well it works. I've got so many mods. If somebody came into my game, they'd be like, what do you got going on here? But I personally would love that. And it's kind of disheartening to hear that Avowed's was going to do that, but not. But then again,
maybe for the better.
Yeah, it's probably still the best way to go because, they should make the game they want to. Yeah.
Well, you know why they probably did this? Probably because they saw the split screen troubles that Xbox is having. Co-op split screen troubles.
I don't think they would have made split screen. Good grief. Oh God, just let split screen go. Just people, just let it go.
I saw Quake has 8-player split screen. Quake 2.
Yeah. Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so impractical.
Yeah, it's like we can do it. Right. Why not? Right. Mm-hmm. Oh, I've been playing that too.
Oh yeah. I mean to revisit it, but yeah. I do want to talk about the documentary a little bit.
Yeah.
Like when it was because it finally completed. I wanted to talk about a few points, but there's basically a couple interesting points to it. I want to point out I took away from it. I wanted to share with you guys real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So I did not realize this, but I didn't realize that BioWare wasn't interested in KOTOR's 2, and that's why Obsidian took over.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was surprising.
KOTOR 2 considered a great game, right?
Was it? I felt like
I feel like the story. People love the story of KOTOR 2. You don't remember that, or I'm getting that wrong?
I remember it being divisive.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing about Obsidian games I've noticed is that it takes a minute to get going. Like it's not. Yeah. Like they take their time at that like first 10-hour mark where you're like, where is this going? Is this ever going to get good? But man, after that, it just takes off, And KOTOR 2 was one of those games. The first part of that game was, for me, infuriating. It was like I am on, you're on a ship, you don't know what's going on. You're having to piece together like this entire situation that happened prior, and it was like a murder mystery kind of thing, and it was just, it just seemed like it never ended. And it was almost to a point, it's like, I can't do this anymore. But then when you get off that ship, man, it got really good. You started meeting all these different characters, and then I mean, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I don't think it was as good as KOTOR 1 because it didn't have that hook. KOTOR 1, like, man, that opening cutscene, you're like, oh, I'm in. I am so, wanting to play this. KOTOR 2 was not that. It was like, oh, this is so slow. Pillars of Eternity, I want to say, is kind of like that. Pillars of
Slow
Eternity
start.
2 had a little bit of a slow start. But yeah, I mean, if you just hang in there, you're in for a good ride. But I was really surprised to see that BioWare didn't want to do a sequel to that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I guess this brings to my second point is that, Obsidian for the longest time, all they did was work on other people's IPs. Mm-hmm. Like it was Neverwinter Nights 2, KOTOR's 2, right?
Right.
New Vegas. I'm trying to think about another one. Dungeon Siege 3, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it took a while before they got their own IP. Well, they did get the licensed IP, and that was the South Park game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Avowed is not. It's not their own IP.
It is.
No, it is their own IP.
I thought I thought it was part of another RPG franchise.
It's part of Pillars of Eternity, which is their
IP.
It is. Okay, my bad.
Actually, I'll talk about that slightly briefly. But one very interesting tidbit, and this was basically, they've worked with Microsoft basically to release an exclusive originally for the Xbox One called Stormlands. Magical melee combat. I kind of think about it. Maybe that magical melee combat has come back in Avowed in some ways. Maybe. But basically, they mentioned that Microsoft was very difficult to work with.
At the time,
At the time, that sounds about right. And it almost sounds like they're hinting that they were trying to make them use the Kinect or something.
Yeah, this was the Don Matrick era where everything was connect. Yeah. And more people have said that they didn't like working with Microsoft at the time. But yeah.
And in the documentary, they're talking about how they just thought it wouldn't be fun. So I have a lot of respect for Obsidian. They cut the multiplayer when they think it wouldn't work. They denied the Kinect when or they denied something from Microsoft when they said it wouldn't be fun. So that was something that I thought was really interesting, and I really respect Obsidian for that.
Absolutely.
They have grit.
Yeah, conviction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did have a lot of periods of layoffs. They did have a lot of difficulties. It was really with Pillars that they started to finally see success.
Yeah, and that was when Kickstarter was kind of just starting up, and I was kind of surprised to hear that Obsidian started a Kickstarter. But after hearing what they were going to make, which is a top-down computer RPG, much like what they cut their teeth on, I was like, oh, okay. Those at the time didn't sell well. There not a lot of studios were making those, and this thing got rave reviews and did really well. And they exceeded their Kickstarter. And what was the game that they had all the layoffs?
Or the layoffs.
It was right before that. I
think it was related to Stormlands.
Oh,
they fired a lot of people for it.
Well, it was that, and it was before that. It was what's the spy game that they made?
Oh, Alpha Protocol.
Yeah, that was their own game. Yeah, and
that was them.
Yeah, that didn't do well. That didn't do well at all.
I
remember it was janky. It was janky.
They had another project too. It's called Alien Brigade. It was going to be an Alien.
Aliens game. Yeah,
but that one was canceled.
Yeah, that was canceled by Sega. That's what it was. Yeah. That's just sad.
Yeah.
Thick, did you watch the whole documentary?
I watched the whole thing twice.
Yeah, I did too.
How did you really? How long was it?
It's 5 parts, about 30 minutes each.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
it's really good. Yeah. If you don't know Obsidian's games, go watch the documentary. It's still very interesting. Just to get that inside view of a studio, especially one that's got such a long pedigree. of making RPGs.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think earlier this week, Sony Bend was like doing some kind of like mini documentary about their studio. I don't know, with these developers being like, we gotta document what's going on here, you know?
I love consuming these documentaries. Like,
Yeah.
I'm actually interested in the Ben one too, because I know that was it Days Gone didn't get critical acclaim, but it's probably one of the few Sony exclusives that kind of took me by surprise, and I enjoyed it.
Oh, really? You did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got I still have my Halo 2 Special Edition disc, the silver disc or the silver case, and it had their documentary in it.
Oh, really?
And that was the first like inside documentary that I think that I've ever watched, maybe ever done, where they recorded a bunch of stuff as they were making Halo 1 into Halo 2. And then showing all this stuff, just kind of like life at Bungie kind of thing. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
You should check it out. It's very nostalgic. You see a lot of people wearing the Sony MDR 75 on, and a bunch of CRTs, bunch of toys, But it's cool to see, just people making your favorite game, right?
Yeah.
So check it out. I think
watching
they've
those
done one for
documentaries.
each one. Yeah.
Do you have a preference?
Yeah.
Which one do you like? Have you seen, Nate?
I haven't. I don't know if I've seen any of them. But what I was gonna say is I like pausing them and trying to look at the computer screens in the background.
see
Like, what are they working on?
Oh man, it's especially hard with the CRTs because on some of the the 24 frame per second like videos, the screen's just like flittering.
Oh right.
You can't even see what. Yeah. And they're like, hey, I went over here, and it's like we can't see that. It's not, it's funny.
So I have two quotes to kind of leave on.
Nice.
One that was interesting was novelty is its own factor, which is basically when Pillars of Eternity came out, that one was a great success for them.
Yeah.
But Pillars of Eternity 2 was not successful for them in general.
And that one was like way critically more acclaimed.
It's a better game. Like they put more effort into it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like basically they're saying like, it's like the novelty factor of them releasing a game, but then like lightning doesn't strike twice in a way.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. And then it's the reason they released the whole thing was because it's 20 years. But basically what they're saying is 20 years, impressive, but doesn't mean shit at the same time.
Yeah.
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 Huh.
So
20 years of it's what you make of it.
yeah. So any case, encourage anyone to go watch it. It's a great documentary.
Yeah. Awesome. Good story, Thick.
Yeah, for sure. That was great. I don't know. I feel like we just went to the high point of the podcast. We're coming back down because I just have some boring PS5 numbers to share with you guys. All right.
That's important. That's relevant.
Let me blaze through this. So according to Sony, they sold 3.3 million PS5 consoles in Q1 2023. This falls well short of their expectations. I think their expectations were like 5.3 or something. Apparently, Sony wants to sell 25 million PS5s this year. And it sounds like despite the fact that they sold well short of expectations in the first quarter, they're still wanting to sell 25 million according to that's their goal, right? So I thought that was interesting. Some people on the internet were like 3.3 is real low, but apparently the PS4 only sold over that twice during its 9-year lifespan. So 3.3 is actually a decent number for Q1.
Yeah.
They also published numbers for their last 5 quarters that showed us add-on content and how it's faring against full-priced games. Would you guys like to hear how that revenue split is going for Sony right now?
Yeah.
Do you mean microtransactions?
Yes, microtransactions. Apparently, add-on content constituted 50.2% of their software revenue. Full-price games and digital and physical constituted 49.8%. Of course, we must remember that Horizon Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok came out during this time. I felt like I was a little surprised how close it was. It's like basically 50-50.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out how to make myself feel good. And I'm like, all those big AAA games came out. No multiplayer games came out during that time.
Right.
So screw you. Screw you, single player gamers. This might be interesting to you guys. In Q1 2023, 71% of their game sales were digital. Only 29% were physical.
It's
You know,
it's coming.
It's happening. Yep.
It's happening.
yeah. Let me ask you guys this: Do you guys feel like there's even a chance that in 4 years from now they release a new console that's purely digital only? Like, I mean, like there's no physical
Like
version of
no
it.
option for it. Like
No
at
option.
all.
Yeah. Do you see that potentially happening?
It's getting closer. I don't think by next gen. Maybe the gen after
The gen
that.
after.
Yeah.
But then we'll be in we'll be in like a Tron at that point. We'll be in like the Ready Player One. We'll
Yeah,
be in
pretty
the
much.
game. We'll be in the game at that point.
Yeah,
doesn't-
we are the game console.
We are the console.
Doesn't Sony get like a percentage of every Blu-ray sold? Isn't that their technology?
They do
Blu-ray
have
was,
some
right?
licensing.
Some stake in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that they'll probably go a little longer than most.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. Just a assumption.
Right. Only a couple more notes. PlayStation has revised their 2023 forecast to be 7% more in terms of sales and 3% more in terms of operating income. So I don't understand how they did this, but apparently, despite not meeting expectations, they're like, we're going to do even better than we thought. I guess this is kind of exciting for me because I'm like, well, what does Sony know about the next 3 quarters that the general audience doesn't know?
Yeah.
Helldivers 2.
Helldivers 2,
Yeah.
that game's going to be huge, right?
Yeah.
And then interestingly, PlayStation did say here that the impact of launch dates of a portion of their first-party titles have hindered growth this year. So they kind of outline like what contributed to our current state and what kind of contributed to our, what was a negative impact. And it sounds like multiple titles were delayed out of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there, but I just thought this would be kind of interesting. And then I guess the last point I'll say is that apparently 108 million monthly active users were on PSN. Obviously, only 41.7 million PS5s are sold. That tells you how popular the PS4 still is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If 108 million monthly active users are still logging in each month.
Yeah, you don't need anything fancy for Fortnite, so.
No,
True.
you don't actually. That is a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But that's basically all I had. At the time when it came out, it felt like it was a hotter story. Then today, when I was writing out the outline, I'm like, oh, this is not that interesting. So, better luck next week, listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a loot box of podcast.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, right.
Right.
You got the gray version
Try
of our news
again.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, but Thick's favorite segment of the podcast, Rumors, is right now.
My favorite. Yes.
We have 4 juicy rumors this week. Number
Hit
1.
it.
Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick recently said, quote, "We remain confident that we have positioned our business for a significant inflection point in fiscal year 2025, which we believe will include a new record level of operating performance." This quote seems to suggest that maybe they have a big title in the pipeline ready to burst out. What could that be, Scott? What could that be?
I don't know. Maybe Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yes, that's what the internet is saying.
So they're saying in the fiscal year of 2025 or just 2025?
Yeah, and that means, I think that means it's fiscal 2025, which ends March 2025. So it ends early March.
Yeah, it'll
so
be
it could
like
be a
from April
Q4.
to-
Yeah.
There you go.
I know none of us on this podcast are big GTA fans, but I want you to picture what the hype will be like leading up to this game's release.
God. Gigantic.
Do either of you think you'll be bending to the hype?
No, but we'll be bending to the hate because we know it's going to be a lot of hate. It's going to be slammed.
This is a hard question to ask you guys. Is there one thing that you would like to see out of GTA 6 that you're like, if they do that, I might be on board?
Battle Pass.
Oh, come on.
You don't have to worry about that. Yeah. Can you think of something that could fix the franchise in your eyes?
Maybe if it was in the Old West.
Oh, really? Oh, no. They have another franchise for you.
Yeah, no. I'm just wanting a sequel to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't really like I don't like that being in that kind of movie. I mean, it just feels like 5 felt like I was in a Tarantino movie which sounds good, but when you're playing it, it just
you don't like the vibe.
Yeah, it was just boring to me.
What kind of movie vibe do you want in GTA 6?
I don't. Well, I mean, maybe if it was. I mean, what's the setting, right? Is it modern or is it like the 80s or is it,
They might be doing a dual storyline, right? Like 80s and then a modern day. I don't know.
That might be interesting. Like something from this character from the 60s and then you play this character from the 80s and you play, I don't know. I mean, maybe that would be kind of interesting, but.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Andy,
I don't know if I have anything that would make me super interested.
Yeah,
I'm surprised, both of you. I'm surprised because this game is like it's gonna be the technical marvel of its time, right?
Hopefully, right?
Yeah, but it's just a city with people in it.
It's just a city.
I mean, it's just you can drive down the road and see the exact same thing. That's not why I play video games. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got you. What if you can get invaded by like Elden Ring players or something?
Oh God!
Just a thought.
No thanks. Like you're driving your car down there, and then somebody just
and then you just
teleports with a giant sword and just splits it in two.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe.
Okay.
Rumor number. Oh, go ahead.
They need boss battles. That's what they need.
Oh,
there you go.
All right. We're moving to rumor number 2.
Okay.
A video of a new PS5 model is floating around the internet. It's apparently 4% smaller and has a bold black band cutting through the faceplates. Did you guys see this?
I think that's an air filter.
You think it's an air filter?
I do. I think it's a room.
It could be a router. Could be.
It could be a router. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did notice when that guy. So you guys did see the video.
Yeah.
I didn't see the video. I sent the screenshot of what someone shared.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be the case, right? Like it's a manufactured case for the new... Because he's flipping around with one hand.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
That's what I saw.
Yeah.
That's what I saw.
It didn't have anything in it. I think this is bogus.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fake or...
No, I don't think it's fake. I think it's just something that somebody showed and it just kind of took off as... somebody rumored it as it being I don't know.
So you don't think there's a new version coming? Despite...
No, I didn't say that. I think it's hard to believe that somebody actually has a case that they're going to put it in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So bogus.
Yeah. Because I mean, look at any right before a release of any console, how many pictures do we get of like this is it? I got a picture of it, and it's not even close to what we get. So.
Yeah, it's like a Trapper Keeper or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, I mean, there has been fair Sony leaks. Like, what is it, Project Q? Do you guys? I think it's just gonna look like that, right? Like they leaked it before, right? I think it's confirmed, is it?
That thing has been revealed by Sony, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the handheld, right?
Yeah.
That's the most beautiful looking handheld ever. Yeah.
More or less. But
More or less. Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. All right. Rumor number 3. This one might interest Scott. Modern Warfare 3 may be priced at $40 to Modern Warfare 2 owners. Apparently, users saw the game listed at that price on Steam. I guess maybe something weird is happening with this release this year. Like it's like
DLC.
Yeah,
it's like a beefy DLC, maybe.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, and I'm okay with that. Like? Yeah, I mean, I'm not really excited about it, but if it's like a continuation of the single player game plus new modes and maps for the multiplayer, and that it just you buy it and it's part of your what you already have installed. That sounds that's fine with me,
that's
especially
good.
a $40 price tag. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Last one, and this one is obviously for our boy Thick over there. According to Xbox Era, Metroid Prime 4 looks phenomenal and has much more open environments, almost akin to Halo Infinite's open world, though not quite as large.
Wow, really?
Now, this is Xbox Era. I don't put a lot of stock in Xbox Era, but, it was a juicy rumor,
Yeah, it's kind of... Was it hard to... I was thinking about this, I'm not interested in a lot of Metroidvanias now. Like, I didn't care for Metroid Prime or Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
But there's really not that many games that kind of mimic Metroid Prime. So I am... Whatever they do, I'm pretty much, I'll be interested. So
it sounds like it might have to be on the Switch too. To be able to do that, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
Potentially. Yeah. I mean, people are saying that the Prime remaster was is probably one of the best looking games on Switch.
Okay. Okay.
So-
I gotcha. I guess as an aside, you guys think that the new Switch will be backwards compat?
I think there's a
Yeah.
good chance.
Pretty good chance.
Pretty good chance.
I think
Yeah.
the concern would be the cartridges. Like after a while, like cartridges were expensive all the way to 3DS, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those cartridges are so small.
Yeah, so
They're
they're
like
gonna need a
fingernail
lot.
size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll need a lot more space, and it's gonna cost people a lot to produce those cartridges.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. What if it just doesn't have cartridges and it's
Digital
online only, digital only? Yeah.
70%.
Well,
Yeah.
that would make it that would beef up their store and make it backwards compatible. However, you just couldn't play anything that you bought for the Switch on
That would.
in a physical version.
Oh, you get the cartridge drive. Plug it in the USB-C.
Yeah, $199.99. You can play anything you want. Yeah.
That's gonna do it for our rumors this week. Round of applause.
Yay.
All right. Thick, why don't you end the show by telling listeners what your big talk topic is this week?
Well, the big talk this week will be about video game console UI. So what I mean by that is like the menu of the console, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like
Not the fun part. Not the fun part.
No.
but not the games. No one cares
Right.
about the
Games.
games.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
everyone spends like a good 20 minutes staring at the wallpaper, right?
Yeah.
So, I want to go through the history real quick, and then I want to ask you guys what was your favorite of that generation.
Okay.
So,
Oh, boy.
the whole console game UI didn't really kind of emerge until like the Dreamcast, PS2, GameCube, all that era, right?
Yeah.
So, by that time, I think part of the reason they had that was so you could modify the time, which is a really minor thing, but they didn't have internet back then, right? So
Right.
you have to modify the time there. You could play media, you could play media CDs on your Dreamcast, and then it's to edit your memory cards.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys remember what was it, the memory blocks? Like they use blocks instead of like the actual.
God.
Yeah.
Did all of them do that, or was that just a PlayStation thing?
PlayStation, GameCube, I think. Xbox used actual.
It had a hard
memory,
drive,
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it had a
hard drive.
Oh,
It was the
that's
only
right,
one
that's right.
with the hard
But
drive.
it had spots for your saved games, so it was kind of like a large memory slot. It worked in that aspect, so you could go in and like, I'm not playing that game again. I'm going to delete all my save files, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Oh.
So I do want to ask if you guys remember, or if you have a favorite. Do you have a favorite for this gen?
For this gen or for all
For-
gens?
This generation.
The Xbox, GameCube, PS2
Yeah.
era, yeah. Yeah,
I remember the
I do.
bubbling.
Yeah,
The bubbling Xbox. Remember how it bubbled up in the beginning?
Yeah.
It was like blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
yeah.
I know that's not what you're talking about, but
that it's part of it.
That's
right?
part of it. Yeah,
Part of it.
I like the. I think the Xbox was my favorite. It just really stood out. I mean, the way that it looked like you were manipulating the inside of your Xbox. Does that make sense? Like moving
Yeah.
around,
Cool
it had
aesthetic.
these like mechanical sounds as you move through the interface, and it did things that with an internal hard drive that the PS2 and the GameCube couldn't do, or like you could rip a CD and on the actual hard drive and then play it while you're
all right.
while you're playing a game or something
Project Gotham Racing.
like that. Yeah, exactly. So you
Yeah.
could like put all your CDs and stuff on there. And then also, this is probably common knowledge now, but if you let it sit for a little bit, you heard this like really weird, like chatter. Like you couldn't really tell what it was, but it was people talking. It was kind of eerie. Like if you didn't realize it and you just let it sit there, your TV would start going.
Oh, interesting.
That's actually early NASA talking Apollo missions, and they kind of all stuck them together to make this kind of garbled, background chit chat kind of thing. So, I mean, they just took a lot of effort into making that interface to look unique and operate unique.
When you mentioned like the whole like it feels like this is the inside of the console.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys remember the Dreamcast commercials where like you're basically inside the console, and there's got all the mascots of the Dreamcast.
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think so.
I'll have. Yeah, I mean, I would say my favorite is probably the GameCube one, just because of the cube aesthetic and the
How
kind
did
of.
that how did that look? Paint an auditory picture for me.
So basically, the logo drops down with the cube. I think
Yeah, I
you
remember
guys are
that. And
familiar
it
with
go
that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
choo 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 choo.
Yeah.
That
And
was
then
almost our logo for our podcast.
yeah.
Yeah.
But too much work to make. But you hold a button, and then while that logo finishes, the middle cube, it's a really slick animation. It spins, and then it turns into the menu. And then the menu
yeah.
is a cube,
Yeah.
and you can go 4 directions, and they have different options. Not too many,
Oh.
mostly to edit your memory card or to play the game or to edit the clock. Very simple stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
But there was an Easter egg in that one too, where if you held down, I think the Z trigger, which was that one weird button on the top shoulder, right? It would just play a different song. So, it was cute. I liked it. Once they started doing, was it remember 480i like TVs? So
Yeah.
like once that option became available, that's where you would go to edit your video settings.
Okay.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay, let's get to where I would call this generation, the PS3, 360 era,
Yeah.
the foundation of the game console menu. This was really
Yeah,
where they
when you
started
needed
to
one.
add.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, because like this is where you got online. Your modern UI needs is what I'd say. Friends list, achievements, party system.
Netflix.
Right.
Yeah, Netflix. I
Yeah.
thought that's a pretty iconic part of it,
Yeah.
actually. Having an app store, basically, online store. That's, the birth of Xbox Arcade, basically, right?
Yep.
And kind of underpriced things we don't even think about now is notifications.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, favorite. And it's usually... I put the Wii on here, but I never cared that much for the Wii's UI. I like the...
God, I don't really remember it.
It's like it's like a bunch of TV screens on like this tile menu, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I had great music. I'll say that. That music was a bop to Wii.
Yeah.
And this is the 360 PS3 generation, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I personally never had a 360, but I felt like that. I just know it was the better UI. Am I correct in saying that? I felt like
it had many iterations through the 360 through its life. Yeah, it started
Three
with the blades.
3 iterations, right?
Yeah,
the
the
blades,
first was
that's
the
right.
blades, which I thought was really cool. I mean, you kind of just
Why'd they get rid of them?
It was very.
I would say limiting. Like
It was limiting, but just the aesthetics to it didn't really portray where they were going with Xbox as a brand. It looked very dated. I think
Oh, really?
It just there wasn't really room to grow with it. But yeah, I mean, you just like kind of slid your screen back and forth, and then went to the squares of which is ultimately better, because you had like games, video, social, at the top, and then you had these segments with all the blocks.
Wait. Are you talking about the new Xbox Experience one, which was kind of like the mid one?
That was
Do
the
you
mid
remember?
one. Yeah, the one after the blades, I think, was where you kind of like it was like a 3-dimensional, like you had like it was in front of you, and then when you moved your stick, it would like slide out of view, and then the next one would come up, and then you move it back and forth, like almost like looking through a like a Rolodex.
It reminded me
I
of
didn't like
basically
that
the PS. I thought it was just the PS3 UI, but flipped 90 degrees. That's what it felt like.
Yeah. Instead of going from side to side, you were going like forward and backwards in a 3-dimensional space. It was neat, but it wasn't that functional. My favorite of that genre is the PS3. I just turning on a PS3 was just, it looked like art. I mean, it was just amazing. And then actually, I didn't know this until just recently. If it's idle and you take your controller and I think shake it a certain way, it it makes like wind in the background and blows things in that direction.
Oh, really?
Or some kind of it's just. I always thought that layout and everything was really cool, and plus they were the first ones to have like 3D backgrounds. Like I had one that was like a shark that would just float around in the background.
Oh yeah,
Later in the PS3. So yeah, that era definitely the PS3 wins, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I think for me, I don't really have. I don't feel like I have a favorite. Like I mostly played Xbox. I had a PS3 too, but I never really liked the menu. I didn't like that whole cross menu, and then you have to scroll through everything. I did not like that functionality of it.
Yeah.
It looked better. It had a very nice feel, but I didn't find it as functional as the Xbox ones.
Would you say the goal of the UI is to access what you're looking for in the fewest amount of button presses?
I think that's one of the core aspects, yeah.
I think
What
that
is another
and
aspect?
Customization.
Yeah. Okay.
Customization, probably like the feel of it. I mean, I know.
Oh
You
no!
know, I like talking
Gun
about feel. But like you could see it from how people react to the Xbox One and like they say the PlayStation is snappy, but I think
Right.
the way they handle it is kind of like how iPhone handled it back in the past.
Yeah.
Like basically when you press an icon, it doesn't take forever to pop up. It pops up, but then it just takes forever to load.
Right.
But
Right.
it emphasizes things differently, and so that's kind of what I guess
It made it
Okay.
feel
does.
faster, right, when it
Yeah.
actually wasn't. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. I would say there's so many iterations of the 360 in that era. I couldn't say like, the 360, because some of them were bad,
Yeah.
But and I agree with you on the PS3. Finding things wasn't always perfect, but using it was always it was consistent. Like through the entire PS3 lifespan, it was consistent. Where 360 it was not.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing though with I guess 360 was it was a pain to find games if it was digital only. Like way.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah. Like I go back to it now and then I look at it, it's terrible. I don't know how I did it back then because I probably didn't care back then, but it's pretty bad now. I actually think the previous the one you said looks like a Rolodex is probably better at finding games than the current one.
Yeah, the one that they ultimately ended with, I don't think was the best one. There was one that was right before the last version, which was easier to get around. It was much easier to find your digital content.
Yeah.
It just ultimately was pretty much better in every way. And when they changed that, I remember when the new update came out, it was kind of like a several steps backwards.
Yeah, they were really focusing on Connect for that last one. Right?
Yeah. Which was kind of cool. I mean, I used the Connect a lot. Netflix pause. Basically, was, Netflix play. I mean, that was pretty much
the main function.
Yeah, Scott is saying that right now. His Xbox is playing.
My 360 in the corner is it's going. Right. No, it's long gone. But yeah, for me, PS3. What about you, Nate?
I didn't have an Xbox at the time, so I'm going to go with the
PS3.
Yeah.
And
that's fine.
Yeah. What can I say about it? It's funny. Like, I just feel like I spent so little time absorbing the UI.
And that's very, very normal, though. Like, so I mean, we'll get to this once we talk about CryEngine, but like, go ahead.
Maybe if you can't remember it, it was a good one.
Yeah.
Right?
Like,
all right,
if
so maybe you remember the headaches.
You
remember the headaches, yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
How come you're not? I remember the Vita had an interesting one, didn't it? It had like bubbles. Remember there was
That wasn't the
so.
Vita. That was the PSP, wasn't it?
Oh, was it the first PSP?
It was the Vita. It was the Vita, I think.
The Vita?
Wasn't it?
I thought the Vita had this. Oh, no, it wasn't. Yeah, you're right. The Vita. I only used the Vita to play my PS4 remotely.
Oh, really?
Really? I don't really remember the UI that much. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this I'm not really worried about.
Handhelds.
Portable, right?
Yeah.
But
Right.
But in any case, let's move on to PS4 and Xbox One, which I consider this the Web 2.0 of UIs, and this is
Mm-hmm.
pretty much where you're getting a lot of share options, screenshots, videos, streaming,
Capturing,
tournaments,
yeah.
Yeah.
events. I don't know if you guys remember, but once they added Twitch to PS4, there was so many weird scandals online that you didn't have before. Like people would be
Really?
streaming themselves making out or like
Oh
doing
man,
the
yeah, it
dirty.
was. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
It's like you can't do that, right? No, they didn't
Uh,
Yeah.
because there's nothing to sign. There's no, there's no website that you have to go to and like click. No, it's just like, oh, I agree. Let's get it on in front of our camera. Yeah,
oh.
yeah. It wasn't
Yeah.
a terrible idea. But yeah, that one, I would say for Xbox One, it was kind of the same way. When the Xbox One came out, it was very clunky, very slow.
Yeah. I think it was the worst. Okay, basically the whole like
And
Don
TV.
Matrick UI,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
everything was catered around TV. Like, it did have some interesting features, like the snap feature, where you could
I was
be
gonna
playing
say,
a
yeah.
game and then snap in a TV show or a website or YouTube or something while you're,
Yeah.
which people to this day still think they should add that back, and I'm one of them. But I think about the time the Xbox One X came out was when that UI for me, I would pick that one because of its customization.
Yeah.
On the PS4, it was still like to this day you still can't like move games to certain folders and make your own like. You can't customize it to cater to what you want to play or watch.
Yeah.
You can move stuff around to some extent, but not. You can't make it yours. The Xbox, you could move pretty much anything where you wanted it to go, except for, ads and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I would say around that era, Xbox One was my pick.
I I agree with Scott for this. I would say though, out of all the PlayStation UI, PS4 is my favorite iteration out of like versus PS5, so to speak. So
Nate.
Yeah,
and
I know once I get used to UI, I just want them to use it for eternity.
yeah.
I know how to navigate it, so just like let's not rock the boat, people. But these
Yeah,
companies
yeah.
seem to rock the boat.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, when you add new features and new things that it can do, you almost
Yeah, I
have to
know.
change the UI.
You have to a
but,
little bit.
Sometimes I think they change it just because they fear
Feels different.
stagnation. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
here's new AI. I mean, UI. It doesn't matter if it's better or not. It's just different.
Yeah.
But did you have
Scott,
an Xbox One?
I did not.
So
not.
it's PS4 for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
PS4,
yeah, it is.
Okay.
yeah, but I mean, you were
Now,
just playing the
next-
games, so like
Yeah.
you didn't worry
Yeah,
about
right.
it.
Right. Now the next one, I do have my my Xbox in it. It's it's
Yeah,
in the
you've
closet.
got both.
Okay,
Right.
okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. So yeah, now we're the current gen.
Current gen.
I
Yep.
I consider this era is just refinement and just features. Like people are they're trying to distinguish themselves from each other, so they're just trying to
Right.
add features, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Things like the game cards for PlayStation, like these little hint cards, whatever. Which I think they kind of did away with a lot of them because developers weren't using it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. That was kind of a feature selling point early on.
Yeah. And Discord is a big new feature in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I mean, like, there's not much to really say because this is kind of ongoing. But I know Xbox just recently had a update.
Yes.
I don't know if you got yours yet, Scott. 'cause
I
it's
just
been
got
rolling.
mine. Yeah. Just the other day.
Yeah.
So
What was the big change? What's the big change?
Well, right before it was still the Xbox UI from Xbox One. They basically
right.
just not much change, maybe a little refinement here and there, but it's pretty much whatever it was on the Xbox One last was what you got for
Yeah.
Series X.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was a lot of complaining, or a lot of complaints that we had when, they released the Xbox Series X and the UI looked just like the Xbox One. So it didn't really,
Yeah.
feel like a new console. Of course, until you played a game at 60 frames per second. But Yeah, I would say I've only had limited time with the new one, but I like the icons at the top.
Yeah.
So you've got like Game Pass settings, games, and they shrunk the tiles so
Yeah.
that you can actually see your background. They have numerous dynamic backgrounds that they've released over the last couple of years, based on Redfall, Halo Infinite, Diablo 4, those things. And then you get them and you put them on, and then you can't see any of it because there's just these huge tiles that are in front of it. So what they did is they shrunk them down to the bottom, and then you can actually see a lot more of your background. And the tiles are, smaller and like rounded corners, I believe. And then the rest of it you can customize. So you can move whatever you want as far as like content. You can put, games that you play here. You can put, Game Pass down here. You can put, so it's very customizable, and I still like that. I don't know what the PS5. I don't know how customizable it is.
I think it's still
aspect.
lacking.
Yeah.
I think it's still lacking. Yeah.
Yeah, but it looks. I've heard people say that the Xbox now looks more like a PS5 than it did before. I guess that's maybe as far as like having a bigger background and having smaller tiles or whatever in it. But for this one, I would still have to pick. I mean, if you're talking about like internally, I think the Xbox Series X takes it. I mean, you've got quick resume, you've got. Quick resume alone is just that's the one thing I miss going from console to PC, is having 2 or 3 games that I'm currently playing, and I can just go to any one of them and be right in that game, and with no loading whatsoever. On the PS5, it doesn't do that. I don't know why it can't do that. It's got some universally stupendous SSD.
Yeah.
But
just today, they have something on the bottom called the switcher, which you click on it and it does show you your last like 5 games that you've played.
Is it
but
5 games? Because I only see
maybe
2
it's
most of the time.
I think I saw 4 today, so I don't quite know what that. I guess it's like trying to emulate the quick resume, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's a confusing part of. I don't like like when you press the PlayStation one. I don't like that menu. It is. I think a lot worse than what Xbox has.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't clearly tell you where the friends list is right. Like there's like a weird name to it, and then like it doesn't sound like the right name, and that to get to your friends list or to party. Like
Right.
I feel like, yeah, and then they have issues with handling cross-gen, right? Remember, like I think I've shared my frustration with Destiny 2, right? Like,
Yeah.
like downloading a gigabyte at a time, apparently.
yeah, but I mean that could be unique to Destiny 2.
It could be.
It's the Destiny 2 of console UIs. It's just weird. It's just where do you go?
Yeah, where do you start? Where are you going? Right.
Yeah, I much prefer the PS4 one. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I just felt like I could organize it in my mind better. Like I'm still pressing that button, being like, "What? Don't I want to go down?" And I'm like, "Oh, you have to you have to tap the button instead of hold the button or something like that." I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't like. So basically, there on the main menus there in PS5. There's 2 main tabs. There's the game tab and then the media tab.
Up top, yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of don't like that. Like I don't use the media on PS5 very often. So then when I like to use the shoulder buttons because I assume it will take me to something relevant, and media is not relevant to me. So for my personal take, it's just not a great experience.
The way you could access media on the PS4 was like you just scroll over to your little media box, right? And then you click on it.
I think you could use a shortcut button to it, right? Like a shoulder button, and it'll just go all the way to the end.
Okay.
But like, I mean, if you were watching YouTube recently, it will show up in your recent boxes on the PS4, right? Where this is separated completely.
Right.
And I do like that it will also show up on my recent tabs for Xbox. So
okay, all right. I'm hoping the next consoles give us that, what is it, the Neuralink chip they put in the back of your brain where you can just think
like
about
the Matrix.
Netflix. I want to think about Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah, good dramatization.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of complaining about the Xbox UI real quick, and it's that once you scroll down from that main page, there's a lot of ads, quote unquote ads, is what people are saying. I don't know if you guys have any opinion on that.
I don't really care about those, to be honest. I mean, you can't go to a website, you can't go to Reddit, you can't go to X, whatever, Twitter, without seeing those ads. And I just block them out. I don't really even like see them anymore. You know what I mean? When I turn on my Xbox now, I see my games, like what I'm playing, and I see the settings, and I see everything that I need to do whatever I want. I did scroll down and I did see, some segments like Game Pass. Game Pass to me is not an ad. That's part of the service you're paying for. But if they have like stuff like for, Tide
Burger King,
or Burger King, right? Then I don't see them. They're just so, commonplace.
Yeah, I think people like consider ads very differently. Like some people consider those Game Pass advertisements or like notification as ads to them, which I mean,
how is
in
that
a way,
an ad? I mean, if
I don't know.
if you're
I don't
not paying
agree,
for Game
right?
Pass, I guess you could see that as an ad. But
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, where do you go where you don't see an ad?
Yeah.
It's
And the argument against it too is that you're paying for, you're paying for the console, you're paying for the subscription. Why do I need to see ads? Is what a lot of people say too.
Well, you don't have to pay for the subscription. You're not required.
But either way, you have to see the ads. That's
you do. Yeah. I get that, but
imagine if Amazon sold books and they sold discounted books with like every 8 pages was like an ad. Like you're reading Lord of the Rings. Oh, page 7, like
they
Hilton
do
Head
have
Hotel.
What was it? Ad-supported tablets. Like they'll
they
be
do.
like $15 cheaper.
Right.
On the sleep screen or whatever, the lock screen, they'll have an ad.
Oh, really?
They do that. They do that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That, can I say something? That shows you the power of like advertising.
it does.
These companies understand it actually changes behavior. They're not doing it if it doesn't work on us. It does work on us, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I hate that. I hate those darn advertisers.
Scott and I, we filter it out. We've developed that.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I know.
It's
You're
like blur.
advanced.
It's like your background. It's just I
Yeah.
don't see it anymore. And it's not my game. I mean, I'm not playing a game and they go, "Hey, before you shoot that alien, check out what's new at McDonald's." No, I mean that does not that yet anyway.
I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet.
I am too. Like you're playing some stealth game and before you just go behind somebody, he turns around and goes, "Hey, have you heard about the new movie, the new series on Netflix?" I mean, it's coming. I mean, I'm sure we're probably going to see it at some point, but
Right.
I don't mind them. They've been on the console since
360.
360. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care. I think there's better things to be mad about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like, is it going to change? So you either deal with it or just ignore it. The complaining isn't going to make it disappear.
Yeah, you don't turn on your Xbox and it goes, "Hey, before you play this game, watch this 20-second video." I mean, it's just a tile. It's just a a picture. It's not even on your main screen. You have to scroll down to find it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Those ads are slowly creeping. They're like, what can I get away with? Can I get a little closer to the
Oh,
viewer?
yeah,
Can
I mean
get a little
that's
closer?
absolutely. It's going to be like it's going to be on this tile, and then it's going to go
I
up
know.
one, and it's going to go up one,
And then we'll just show it quickly. We'll just show it quickly, and then we'll show it a little longer.
Right.
Yeah. Remember
And
when YouTube ads were only 5 seconds and you only got one?
Oh God.
Yeah.
Now I have to watch like 30-minute commercials, and I have to stand in front of it and watch it because I feel like I'm stealing if I don't.
No. You go to the bathroom, you get yourself a pot of coffee, then boom.
And then
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Any case, I mean, I think we reached the end of this talk. I don't know if you guys have any closing words.
No.
Is there anything with the UI that you're like, oh, I wish they did this?
Yeah, like Minority Report, where you can just use your hands and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
transparent in front of you.
The Connect can take care of that.
No, well,
Right.
no. I mean, it's like something you can see. It's not.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. But
No, like in the air. Yeah.
yeah, no more Connect though. Yeah, that was an interesting aspect to the UI itself, where you can like wave your hand and kind of like shuffle
Yeah.
that, which didn't work very well, but the implementation
It was cool. I liked it when it worked.
Yeah, you know, but I mean, it's just so much easier to just move your thumb than to like move your
Right.
whole arm. But yeah, it was interesting. But the voice things were pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree
In
too.
Skyrim, you could say your shouts. Do you guys remember that?
Oh, you could? I didn't
Yeah,
realize
like
that.
your dragon
course.
shouts are words, and you can actually like scream them in your living room. And you would
Dabba-dabba
do
ding
it,
dong.
right? You know, and it
Now
would
I
just
wish
do
I
the-
didn't sell my Xbox 360 copy.
I know, right? You were shouting "Fos Ruda" or whatever it is, and you know, it didn't work very well. But or maybe it was just me. But it did. It did. You know, my wife thought I was possessed, but it was just a Connect.
Yeah. Vic, what about you? Is there anything you want to see from UI?
Not off the top of my head. I think I covered a lot of what,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I thought the topic was an interesting topic because it's something like I could have done this podcast for 5,000 years and never come up with the let's talk
UI?
UI because my brain is just not geared that way. But it,
Yeah, you just go straight to the game, which I think a lot of people do. It's like when
Right.
I read the complaints about the Xbox One, people just say, just go open your game.
Yeah,
Right,
just,
right.
You know, play your game and forget about it. Yeah, I think
Right.
I think some people just have to have something to complain about.
it like makes us feel seen.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, it gets us heard.
Yeah.
I want to see the manager. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but
Well,
yeah, good topic. That was a good one.
That-
I like.
I
UIs.
thought that was a great show. I thought maybe that was our best show we've ever done.
Ever.
ever.
Perhaps. Yeah. Vic currently
It's
holds the.
thanks to our sponsor.
Right. Oh, we lost Nate again.
Oh, I think so. Wait, didn't this happen last time near the end?
No, I exited out last time by.
Oh, that's
For
right.
some
He
reason.
just clicked it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So did you do the same here?
I did not click it. It did it on itself. It did it by itself.
Okay.
Oh.
Scott, tell
Okay.
people how to interact with us. Tell people.
Well, leave a comment below, please. Just say
yeah.
hi. Give us a topic to talk about. Anything you want us to talk about.
Yeah,
I mean, the game
actually,
related.
I'm interested in what everyone else's, favorite UI is,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
things they like in it. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Continue the discussion down below, and tell us we're
for sure.
knuckleheads if you want to. And if you're on the audio version, listen to it on Spotify and Apple and wherever you get
Yeah.
your podcast, and then come to the YouTube and make a
And
comment.
watch it there.
Yeah, watch and leave us a comment.
Yeah.
Cool.
Watch it on every device you have in your house so we get viewership numbers up.
Yeah, and just
Yeah.
make sure you subscribe and like and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
People don't think that like when you click like, they're like, I kind of liked it, but I don't feel like an effort to reach over to my mouse and move it like 2 inches and then click. But
Yeah.
it actually does help us continue doing
Yeah.
what we're doing. So
It's funny. A lot of times our show will only have 1 or 2 likes. And if
Yeah.
you count the number of people on the show, there's 3 of us. So it's like 1 or 2 likes, but
I've
3
seen
somebody's
4.
not-
I've seen 4.
somebody's not. Yeah, that's thanks,
Interesting.
Mom.
If I catch that person, who's not doing it, they are in a world of hurt.
I think it's thick.
I do too. I
Maybe.
do too.
Maybe.
Vic, can you redeem yourself with a empowering quote?
Yes.
Sure. Okay. Just because you have a hammer, it doesn't make every problem a nail.
Ooh, I totally disagree, but that's a good.
You know what it's from? Overwatch PvE. They had that in the bag for like 4 years before they released it, basically.
Oh,
That's.
Oh.
I've heard that before, though, right? Or
It's
yeah,
probably
it's
been
a
used.
maybe an
spin.
old one.
It's a spin on
on
it.
it,
spin.
right,
It's a
right.
spin.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good advice. Yeah.
My favorite quote is, "You're a wizard, Harry." Remember, you're a wizard, Harry.
Oh.
Remember?
Oh, you want a second quote?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
Okay.
I
Spite-
thought it. Yeah.
Spite is one of the most effective weapons we have
Oh.
at dealing damage to our enemies.
Let's end it right there. Let's
Nice.
end it right there. That's a great quote. You finished on a high note, Vic.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
okay.
Good job. All right.
Great. All right. See you on Monday, everybody.
Yes.
Every Monday. Yes.